Venezuela is going even further down the drain. Over the past 10 years, 7.8 million people have fled the country because of economic and political instability. People who don't know any better say, oh, it's the United States' fault because we sanctioned them so much. When in reality, it's because the country has people like Maduro in power and Hugo Chavez before him. And look at what Maduro did during this election. He seized victory even though it wasn't meant for him. He claimed to have won 51% of the vote, but the opposition and other third-party sources say that it was his opponent, Gonzalez, that won the vote with 70% of the count. But dictators don't let something like facts get in the way of winning. Look, Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves, even more than Saudi Arabia. There's a caveat to this. Venezuela's oil is much poorer quality than Saudi Arabia. But still, that's a lot of oil. Venezuela should be rich. Even though they have so much oil, look at how low their oil production is over the years. You see, Hugo Chavez, Maduro's predecessor, decided to nationalize Venezuelan oil in the year 2007. And you start to see Venezuela's oil production start to take a little bit of a downshift. Recovered a little bit right here when the world was getting back on its feet after the recession. But you see how the production just tanked quite low. Same thing with Venezuela's GDP around the same time. Crashed all the way down to $111 billion. That is the after effects of nationalization. Venezuela has a ton of oil, but no Venezuelan company was getting the oil out and refining it. There were quite a few multinational corporations that invested in all the oil infrastructure of Venezuela, namely ExxonMobil and Chevron. Once Venezuelan oil became nationalized, all of that equipment was no longer maintained by these multinational companies, and they lost all of their foreign direct investment for the country. And look at the GDP. Nationalization happened around here, and everyone's like, great, we're going to keep on making more money. But as the rigs started to fall apart and not be maintained, what happened to the economy of Venezuela? What dictators forget to do is when they nationalize very precious resources, they don't invest in educating their own people on how to extract it. Because if they did, Venezuela would not be going through such an oil shortage and such economic collapse. And what do these dictators do, like Chavez or Maduro, his successor? They blame America as to why they're so poor, when it's really their own incompetent policies. Another very common tactic is to threaten and even attack your neighbors, like what Venezuela is trying to do to Guyana with the Essequibo region. The Essequibo region of Guyana right here is one of the most oil-rich regions in the world. They have 20 billion barrels of oil, and it's very high quality. It's light, sweet crude. So of course, Venezuela wants to take it. Maduro even used that border dispute to try to build support ahead of the Venezuelan poll. If you add all of that together, you'll understand that there's no way that Maduro will ever allow himself to be voted out, despite the massive waves of the Venezuelan population that tried to unelect him. My name is the Geo Hussar, and no, it's not always America's fault if a country is poorly run.